what stood out for you this week?
This week was a really exciting week in that we normally talk about 3 players when we meet with the group on a Monday, and we had 5 that we thought were standouts this week, and that's what we want to be able to report to the coaches and to the players on a Monday as development coaches, that we've got people putting out their hand for selection, so that was pleasing.
Now, when you talk about standout performances, what actually constitutes a standout performance at SANFL level?
Oh, well, there's the obvious bit of actually winning the ball. Whilst we talk about a lot of other areas, at the end of the day we still want these players to find the footy, and that's the aim of the game. But all of them, especially the young development players, have things they've been working on, and whether that be contested marking or ground balls or ability to impact more than one contest. And so for when Matthew and I go out and watch it, for us to be able to see the work that we're doing, the things that we're working on in action, that's the sort of thing we're particularly after. So if player X has been told that it's not so much about possessions, but it's about tackling pressure or defensive running, and he goes out and gets 30 possessions, then he's not necessarily going to be a standout performance in our eyes if he's not working on the things that are his deficiencies as such.
Now, you selected a player who played SANFL reserves level this week as your player of the week in Aaron Young. What about his game at the reserves level stood out in terms of what he did on the field?
Yeah, well, we probably don't tend to prejudice reserves or league in that regard. They're effectively competing against themselves, if you like. So if his game was a standout for him and where he's been at, then that rates him as highly as someone who does the same. If it's line ball, we'd probably end up going for the league player. But certainly Andrew Moore also played well in the reserves, and had 25 possessions and kicked 4 goals. And Ben Jacobs was very good again in the league for Port. Daniel Webb kicked 5 goals for West and was very impressive.
But Youngie's game itself, what was it that you were looking for from Aaron?
He's a very competitive player, and he's got some really very exciting stuff. And when he's around the contest, the stuff he does both with and without the ball is very good, not in question, and that's why we're excited to have him, and that's why North Adelaide wanted to pick him up. The downside for Youngie has been that he hasn't been involved in the game often enough and for long enough, and so we have this great bit of work for a couple of minutes, and he has these periods of non-involvements, and that can be 10 to 15 minutes, and that's just, so he's been working on his consistency of effort all the way across. So he's ended up with 28 possessions and 14 defensive acts, if you like. So that means he was involved in the game 42 times for the match, which is an outstanding number, and the stuff he did both defensively and with the ball was really good, and so that's why it was a standout for us.
Heels, thanks for your time.
Good on you.